He is David Prowse, and he's really not such a bad guy after all. He's really kind of a nice guy. He measures 6'7" tall.
Right.
You know how big that is? That's 50 inches. And he was a weightlifting champion in Great Britain,
Yes,
right?
1962, 63, 64. I retired undefeated.
How much did you lift?
Well, the heaviest weight I ever lifted was what they call a two-hands deadlift. I picked up 678 3/4 pounds.
Pounds?
Pounds.
That's British. That's the way they talk there. But you got to meet a...
They showed me all these conceptual drawings around the room, and Chewbacca was like this sort of hairy type gorilla, like, you know, and it was we actually filmed all the way through 1971, the hottest summer we've ever had in Great Britain, like, you know. And all I could think of when I saw the Chewbacca costume, I thought, oh God, how hot and sweaty that's going to be, like, you know, to be cooped up in that for a couple of months, like, you know. And so when he turned around and said, well, you can either play Chewbacca or you can play the big villain of the film. I thought, well, thank you very much. I know which part I'm going to have. Like, you know, I'll go for Darth Vader, thank you. And he said nobody will ever forget Darth Vader. And here we are, 30-odd years later. Yeah.
And he was quite right, wasn't he?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Mind you, Chewbacca, I mean, it still is a very, very popular character.
It surprised me, actually, because I didn't know anything about it until I was sat in the cinema last Saturday, and that was the first I knew of it.
And what did you do?
Practically collapsed in the seat.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was such a sensational twist. But it was really something which had been mooted around for a long time, and I thought they'd forgotten all about it. And but as I said, it was quite funny looking at yourself, talking all this dialogue, and thinking to yourself, well, I never said any of that.
Right.
I didn't say anything in that in the picture.
Right.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive.
I kept saying to George, you know, what are we doing about the voice? Because everything I'm saying is coming from behind the mask, and it's obviously no good for reproduction purposes. And he said, oh no, don't worry, we'll overdub all your lines at the end of the movie. So in other words, you'll go into the sound studio. And this is what I was expecting to do.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic...
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
I mean, what is the reaction?
No, it gets different reactions, actually. And the funniest reaction of all is the reaction to Darth Vader, because I get I get an enormous amount of fan correspondence, primarily from America.
Yes.
And in amongst all this correspondence, you get this really sort of pornographic content of women that write to you who I think have this big fixation about this big black character.
What, all in the black
all
cloak
in the
and
black
everything?
and the black leather and
Wow.
everything else.
Now, I know that you actually fell into showbiz, and it was through a role you had in a little film called A Clockwork Orange, that you actually got the role as Darth Vader, didn't you? Tell us about that.
That's right. I did this. Stanley Kubrick rang me up one day and said he was doing this film, A Clockwork Orange, and asked me if I would go up to this house in I think it was in Radlett, up in North London, and we filmed this. We filmed this terrible movie. It was quite strange, actually, because I mean the first scene I did, I was doing nothing else but carrying Alex, who was Malcolm McDowell, down the stairs, and I did it all day, non-stop, and at the end of the day, I could hardly move. I could hardly move my arms, And then Stanley turns around to me. He said the next day, we're going to do this thing where you're going to carry Patrick McGee down the stairs in his wheelchair. I said, hang on a minute. I said, your name's not One Take Kubrick, is it? And he said, oh, we'll do it as quick as we can, and we shot the scene in about 3 or 4 takes. He was a hard taskmaster to work for, but a lovely guy. I loved him. I got on very, very well with him.
Frank, dieser junge Mann braucht unsere Hilfe.
You know when you do those fight scenes with the
with the
swords,
lightsabers, yeah.
What's that called?
They're called lightsabers.
Lightsabers?
Lightsabers.
And what is that? What is that thing?
Well, actually, it's when we actually did it, it's really like a double-handled flashlight. And if you take the bulb and the reflector out, and then you insert a long piece of dowel into this sort of flashlight, and then they coat the dowel with reflective tape, with the stuff which they have on cinema screens and things like this, and it reflects back the light with a greater intensity, and then they shine the lights at you as you're filming, and that's the way it comes over. But they also put in the afterburn and things like this, the special effects after. Well, they made all sorts of improvements to it because, first and foremost, you see, on the previous one, they decided that they could see through into the eyepieces, and so they put darker lenses in. Then they've also made the mask. I think they made the mask a different colour, in fact, out of a different fiberglass, a greyish colour, and then on top of all this, they altered the breathing hole at the bottom. So that I could, in fact, I used to use the breathing hole as a vision hole because when you look through the mask, you can't see anything about 6 feet in front of you, and you have to look through the breathing hole at the bottom to see what's down by your feet, and also, of course, the whole thing is lacquered this time. They had this lacquer on it, and it's all very, very shiny all the time.
Aren't you? Because as a Green Cross man, aren't you bringing out a book on safety for children?
That's right. We have I decided. You say one of the things I do is I tour all over Great Britain talking to kids about road safety. But it's like a drop in the ocean when I go out to these schools. I do 2 schools per town. I've been to 100 different cities in Great Britain so far.
Wow.
So there's only 200 schools out of literally thousands in the country. So I decided I'd come out with a book on safety for kids. And it was originally intended as a road safety book, child pedestrian road safety. And then I decided to go into cycling proficiency as well. And then I invited a few of my friends in the business and to get involved, and we decided it was going to be a sort of a personality guide to road safety, and I was going to get some of my friends to dress up as policemen and policewomen and things like this, you see.
But
it must have been quite warm in there, mustn't it?
Yeah. Well, we filmed during the hottest summer we ever had in Great Britain. That was 1976. And I mean, it really was baking, But you learned very quickly how to live with the costume, as it were, and as much that you used to. I used to go into the studios first thing in the morning and just put the trousers and a t-shirt on, and that's all. And you used to stay like that as long as you possibly could.
Dave, do you always play a villain?
Always.
You're always a mean man. Why? Because of your size?
Always because of the size. As soon as as soon as people know that you're 6'6" and 260 pounds, you're automatically channeled into the villain's role. It was a very subdued, I thought, Darth Vader. Kirsch decided he didn't want me to play it at the speed at which I played the previous one, because on the first one I tried to establish Darth Vader's authority primarily obviously by physical presence, but by his walk through the picture. And I was trying to make everybody subservient to me by them all having to run to keep up with me. And Kirsch said, "No, slow up." He said, "We'll give you a much more subtle type of authority."
There's going to be a lot more movies coming up. The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars. Do you have any idea what the rest of the names will be?
Yes, the next one's The Revenge of the Jedi.
Revenge of the Jedi. We'll be looking for that, too. We've been just kidding around with Lando and Darth Vader.